Hello to you. I'm Paul Friedman. I'm the founder of the Marriage Foundation. I'm going to do this video. It's called How to Fix a Marriage After Growing Apart. This one is only for men. I already did one for women, may have already been published, but this is for you guys. And the reason why I separate them is because men and women are very different. And because of those differences, how we see our marriage, how we respond to things is very different than how our wives are with our marriage. And they're serious differences. They're not just like minor differences. It's not like what the world is teaching people. Men and women are very different. So you're seeing that your marriage has already drifted apart. It's already not the way it was. And let's think about that for a moment, okay? Let's look at an analogy. Let's say you got a car, a new car, and for the first few weeks, for the first few months, maybe even for a couple of years, you made sure your oil was okay, you checked things, you kept it clean, you were listening for any problems that might happen. And then after a time, if you don't take care of that car, if you're not checking the air pressure in your tires, if you're not meticulous about the car, it's going to start disintegrating. Now, your wife isn't a car and your marriage isn't a car, but the point is this. Everything in the universe has a mechanical component, including your marriage. And if you don't understand the mechanical component of whatever it is that you're involved with, you won't know how to keep improving it. Now, a car is going to slowly fade to some degree, but the mechanical part of your marriage that you should realize is that it's more like a plant in this regard, in that your marriage is supposed to grow. Your love with your wife for her and her love for you is supposed to grow. Your happiness with your wife is supposed to grow. The harmony is supposed to grow. It's not like a car that starts breaking apart. So the reason why your marriage started getting less than isn't because so much you were drifting apart. It makes it sound so, oh, it just happens that way. It happened because you were not paying attention, and how you were with your wife since you stopped really paying attention has been degrading. I'll give you an example. When you were dating her and when you were really interested in her and you were thinking, wow, she could be the one, you smiled at her a lot. You thought of her often. You said very nice things to her. You were very accommodating. You weren't bugged by her idiosyncrasies, which some people would call flaws, but I think that's a mistake. Instead, you embraced her with all of her flaws, with all of her idiosyncrasies. And you chose to love her with all your heart, mind, and soul. So that was the reason why you drifted apart. Now you could say, well, maybe it was on her, and it was on her also. But the truth is, because of how the reciprocal dynamics of good behavior operates, had just one of you been paying attention to this, well, it should have been her. No. Had just one of you been paying attention to this, you would not have drifted apart. Now, because you're not a car, and your marriage is not a car, and mechanical things don't break and you throw them away, you can resuscitate your marriage quite easily. And the way you do that is you go back to the mentality of when you were dating and unsure. You see, there's parts to this whole thing, which is very cool. By the way, I used to be a divorce mediator. It's over 23 years ago. And then I shifted into helping people with their marriages, and I thought it would be a matter of teaching people better communication, and that would be enough. But when I dove into marriage, I realized, and at that time, many of my friends were marriage counselors, traditional marriage counselors, etc. And so I didn't question how they were handling their couples, their clients. I went to marriage counseling too with my first marriage, destroyed my marriage. And then when I started doing a deep dive into what marriage is all about, I realized that Western psychology literally has no place in helping people with their marriages. And yet that is what our world is saturated with, is Western psychological ideas about marriage. And it doesn't work. It doesn't work because Western psychology is all about fault finding and fixing rather than inspiring and moving with what the common goal is. There's 3 common goals in marriage. This is important for you. Very important. You should write this down. Number 1, you got married because you fell in love. So love is the very basis of your marriage. This is your soulmate. Number 2, you didn't get married just to get married, although most of us somehow did. You got married to be happy. And that requires the kind of behavior that you expressed way back when, before you started drifting apart. Okay, so that's 2. Number 3, you got married in order to live in harmony. Who doesn't want to live in harmony? Because if you're not, then soulmates become cellmates. Sucks. So you have to go back to conscientiously, proactively doing what you did to win your wife over. And you did. You won her over. And she won you over. And you have to have 0 expectations for her to reciprocate. Merely doing what you're doing because you know it pleases her. And you know, in this world of cause and effect, we're governed by mechanical laws. If you please her, the first thing that's going to happen is it's going to open doors. And then it's going to build the connection between you that brings you together. Then your marriage is starting to function correctly. And if you want to leave it there, good. But it's not enough. I'm telling you now that the right way to live your marriage is towards the goals of ever expanding love, ever increasing happiness. It's not that hard, but you got to learn how. Now, you could watch the videos. A lot of people do that, and if their marriage is not so bad, it works out fine. Or you could get one of my books, big sales pitch, right? Or if your marriage is in serious trouble, you get the course for men. And you alone will be able to reconstitute that connection between your wife and you will have the marriage that you started with, but much more than that. You'll be able to increasingly connect and reinvigorate your lives, and it'll make you so happy. That's it. Now, if you're a marriage counselor now and you just want to see what does this guy Paul Friedman have to say, then you should learn our way. You take the course and become a TMF marriage counselor and help us change the world, because our way is the future. Other than that, God bless you. I'm Paul Friedman. Don't forget to like the video. It helps. And God bless you and take care. Go visit our website, by the way. There's so much you'll learn. Take care.